Hi, in this video I'm gonna compare three of the most popular embroidery software. The first one I'm gonna look at is the Hatch embroidery. The second one is the Embrilliance StitchArtist level 2, and the third one is gonna be the Embird. So the Hatch is by Volcom, is very popular software, and it has different modules. So the one that are very different level, the one I'm going to look at is the Digitizer. It's the most expensive one. Also, the Embrilliance has different type of different module, different to work with to do different things. The one I'm looking at it is the StitchArtist level 2, and also the Embird has the the different module as well, and the one we are looking at is the digitizing tool from the studio one. So among these three software, the hack is the most expensive and it has the most features. One. So to compare these three, what I'm gonna do is that I will import a vector file, and then I will show you how each of these three vector, how each of these is gonna digitize that, to show you that. So to do that, I will go to, for example, for the hatch, I will go to the artwork, there, and then I will insert the artwork. If you look at it for the, these are the artwork it can import quite few of vector file. Unfortunately, it cannot import the SVG for some reason, and by default it want to bring it as a bitmaps, but I don't want to do that. I want to bring it as a vector, so I open it and automatically very easily it just bring it in. I will delete that. So now I have that. I have two options. So I can go to auto digitizing, and I have two options. I can select each of these parts and as the let it to auto digitize by hatch, or I can assign myself whatever stitches I want. I want it to be fill or satin or outline or whatever type I want. So for now, I just let to do this auto digitize. So I select all and do the auto digitize, and it will do that very quickly, very easily. So let me hide the vector part. So hide selected. So if you can see that, so it did that, and it did a really good job. It auto digitized that, and by default it decide what type of fill assigned to each part. For example, here if you see in the back, because it's the narrow, so it's the satin stitch. And for example here for the wing, because the wide area, so it just assume the simple tatami stitch. So each of those area you can go ahead and select it. As you see, it's a satin, you can change it to any other type of stitch you want, or you can go ahead and change the setting of that. So for example, is a tatami, you can change it to satin or motif. If you want, for example, you can select a motif, um, or I can go ahead and change the setting for the stitch, or I can change the underlay for the stitch as well. The other thing I can do, I can select each part, and then I can go ahead and edit either the angle of the stitch like that, or edit the node that create that part. So I can do that as well. For the angle also, I can do it here under the setting as well. So it gives me lots of option to play with. For example, again, I can come here as a fill. It's the tatami. I said, okay, I want it to be the motif, so it can be a motif, and then I can go down there, select what type of motif, for example, I want to be, and then from available motif in those categories, I can choose whatever I want, and then put it there, and it will change it to that. So in case of editing and configuring, it gives me lots of options. Also, besides the auto digitizing, it has the edit part object, so you can go ahead, select any part and do the editing here. Also, it can do the digitizing, manual digitizing if you want to add anything, and there are quite other things that it can do. Also, it has the here it can do the, you can see the stitches like that. So, or you can turn on the 3D view so you can see how it's going to look like after it was stitched. It has that it has the stitch simulation, so you can run it so you can see how it's going to be stitched out on the machine. So it shows that how it's going to be or do that. Again, also the for the color, we can go ahead and if you want, change it to any type of the thread color you want, and it's going to match the color for you. So you can click on that and match the color for you for that. The one really good option that it has is I think it's the auto fabric. So if you come here and select the auto fabric, you can come here and select what type of fabric you have, and then based on that type of fabric, it automatically change or assign the values for the stitch. So it automatically decide, for example, how much pull compensation you need, or how much is going to be the minimum or maximum length of the stitch, and those kind of stuff. These things it can do it for the for any given fabric you give it. So right now it's a pure cotton, so it calculates everything for the pure cotton, but we can also change to any other fabric, and automatically it will do it for you. In case of the lettering, I haven't tried lettering in either of these programs, so I'm not going to talk about the lettering in any of these programs. So as you can see, it has quite many options that you can work with it, and it's relatively simple, not that difficult. The next option is the Embrilliance StitchArtist. So I have a level 2. I think this is this is my idea. I think is the best value among the other options that you have. So here, if I want to bring it my vector file, I click on the creator, click on the vector, and can bring it. As you can see, it can bring the SVG, but it doesn't bring many options. So you have only work with a few options, but it can bring it very seamlessly, very easily. So to bring it in, so you can see that the different part here is that it cannot do any auto digitizing. So you have to select each part, and you decided what type of a stitch you want to have. So for example, I'm gonna select all these parts and say, okay, I want them to be a tatami fill, and it will do the tatami fill. And then I can select these one and say I want them to be outline, and for example it's a back stitch like that, and it's gonna generate it for me. So it's relatively easy, but you have to decide about each part. For example, here in the back, so I can go ahead and say, okay, I want it to be the satin stitch, and it will do it the satin stitch, but I have to do it. It doesn't do it automatically, but does it does it relatively easily. Again, any part that you select, you can do changes here about, for example, type of fill. You can change the type of the fill, or you can change the setting, and relatively easy and intuitive. I think among these three software that I compared, the Embrilliance is probably the easiest one to work with. For example, here the only thing that I didn't like is you can change the angle of the stitch here to any angle you want. but you can, I didn't find anywhere that I can actually enter the value of file. So if I just look at it, say, okay, this is what I like it, so you can do it easily. But for example, if I wanted to be exactly 45 degrees, I couldn't find any police that enter the 45 degrees. Also, you can see, you can edit the points, or you can very easily, that's one of the things I really like, you can easily edit the start and end point of each field. The hatches also has that as well, so you can manually come here and drag the start and stop point of the stitch as well. So that's about this part. Again, it has the 3D, or you can turn off the 3D, you can see the stitches. It gives you also the density of the stitches you want as well. It has a stitch simulator, so you can just come here and run it, see how it's going to be a stitch out there. And have got few of those changing and transformation option here. For the thread color, again, you can come here and choose any thread color. There has lots of thread color, and will change the thread color to that, or you can just select each of the color and change it to any thread color you want and change the color, and you can do that relatively easy. The fabric, it has a project advisor that you can select the fabric type. It gives you some advice, but I don't think it's gonna automatically change the settings of, for example, if I come here, I don't think it's going to change the settings based on your fabric. You have to do it yourself. That's the part that I wish it does that now. So as you can see, again, the good thing about this one is relatively simple to work. It's very intuitive and very simple to work with that. The third one is the Embird, and whenever you open it, so it's open the manager, so you can click here to go to the editor, or you can click here to go to the digitizing tool. One thing that I would say I don't like about the Embird is that it anytime that you want to switch from one module to another module, close the previous one, open the new one. So you can have, for example, open the manager and the digitizer at the same time. You have to go back and forth. I would like to have them as separate windows rather than just close this one, go to open the another one. So here again, I'm going to import the vector file. So I open that. Again, these are the vector file. It can bring the SVG, but I can say sometimes it gives me problem when I bring it to SVG. I had to bring it in other format. Sometimes it doesn't. So I click on that and it will open. So among these three, the Embrilliance has the least problem. I never had problem to bring it the vector file. Had sometimes I had a very few problem with the hatch, but Embrilliance, so the Embird sometimes work with the SVG, sometimes have to convert it to other format to bring it in. So so let me change the, so you can see the hoop size. So I'm going to do that 130 to 180. Apply, and then let me bring it to center. So I can have it again. I think brings some of the features shouldn't. I think one of them is this one. I'm gonna delete that one. I think this one shouldn't bring it that one. So now if I select all and just click on generate a stitch, it's gonna automatically decide what type of stitch it each part needs and generated for that. You can select each part manually and assign the stitch type you want, but if you just simply click on that, it decides what type of stitch to use, kind of like what the hatch did. Again, if I come here and go look at the back, you can see that again it because it's a narrow, it's decided that it's going to be the satin stitch. Again, any type that I choose, I can either for example, see the stitch, go ahead and click here and edit the nodes, or I can right click. In the hatch and in the Embrilliance, you can visually drag the start and end point of any object. In the Embird, so you have to right click on the node and say, for example, to start the field, or place the field end, or place the there. So let me go out there. If I first generate the stitch and then go there, right click, and then place the fill end or a start point here on that point. On the hatch and in Brilliance, it was easier to just can visually drag them wherever you want them to be. Also, if you select them and come here on the counter, you can choose the type of the fill you want. So you can say, I want it to be auto column, or basically the satin, or you want it to be motif or plain fill, and change the angle here. And any change that you want to do, you can do it here, and then it will do it for you. So here you can see that it has different type of it can generate different type of for example, the fill or satin, those kind of things. It also has the 3D view, so you can see the 3D view, so you can see the X-ray or X-map can do the simulation as well, like the other two can do that. Again, for the thread color, it's a little bit tricky, but you can select any place you want, and then go here, color from the catalog, and select whatever color you need and assign it there. For the fabric, one thing is that you can go here and it has different, so you can apply a style. So you can go there and say what type of fabric you have, and based on that, it's gonna decide again about the stitch properties. And if you want to see them, what it has, you can go there in the slide and edit it, and it gives you what type of stitch it's gonna use it for any different type of fabric that you have here. So that's some the hatch has something like that, a little bit more advanced, I would say. The Embrilliance doesn't have it. One other thing that this Embird has it that I like it is this connector. So if you have, for example, let me draw two fill here. So I have a fill here, and then I have the another fill here, and assume I want to connect these two together with the running stitch. So I can simply come here, click on that, and it will connect them to each other. So if I don't want to have a jump, I want to have a running stitch going from this object to other object, I can do that. In the other two, you have to do it manually for that. So to want to summarize that, so if I go to the hatch has the most feature, and probably can customize it a lot. So you have to see how many customization you can, how many things you can do here, how many customization you can do here. So I have a very few bugs. It's well, annoying, not something that I would say fatal, but I face very few bugs probably here and there. The Embrilliance, as you can see, again, it has a few options in the editing. The Embrilliance is probably the the simplest about among these three, the most intuitive among these three. Also, it has the least feature, the StitchArtist level 2 among these three. But I would say that it's the most stable one. Along the time that I was working with it, I cannot remember that I faced any fatal error or any bug. Whatever feature it has, it usually works very well. So very few times I think I face a problem with that. The Embird is the most affordable one among these three. Also, it's the most difficult one to learn. It's not that intuitive. Although I should say when you learn to work with the GUI and learn where are all the features, that's going to be okay after that. Also, it has more buggy behavior compared to the other two. Uh, I should say that I'm not expert in any of these software. I didn't spend much time with either of them, and all of them are either trial or demo version. So that might also contribute to that behavior. Uh, I'm gonna leave the link to this embroidery software in the description, so you can go and visit their website.